If you search YouTube channel on RSI plus Bollinger Bands or Bollinger Bands plus RSI, you'll find many videos trying to combine these two indicators to come up with beautiful strategy. Now, many of you know when it comes to the RSI2 strategy, I reign supreme. I did many versions of this strategy on my channel. In fact, if you go to my channel and search RSI2, you will find many videos on the subject. Plus, I tested the RSI strategy on 36 futures markets and I did different speeds and I got all the results in the Algo versus Crab series. So when I started to see these videos, it was puzzling to me because the RSI and the Bollinger Bands are basically doing the same thing. Here is a chart of the S&P 500 daily time frames. Now, it doesn't matter if it's daily or any other time frame, the indicators will work the same. So on the top panel here, we have the Bollinger Bands with the upper band and the lower band, and this is the moving average in the middle. The upper band and lower band, basically, it's a calculation of the standard deviations of the prices above and below the moving average. Now, the RSI is trying to do the same thing in a different calculation, and basically it's an oscillator that measures the current position of the close in regards to the previous closes. There is something called the %B, which is basically it measures where the close sits in the Bollinger Band channel. So as you can see here, when the close is below the Bollinger Bands, this %B goes below 0. And when the close is above the Bollinger Bands, the %B goes above 1. And the reason I put %B is just to show you how close they are, because they are trying to do the same thing. So since they are trying to do the same thing, it makes no sense in combining both of these indicators together in a strategy, because basically you are at best overfitting your strategy, and at worst, your filter adding more complication without doing anything else to the strategy. And this reminds me of a story that happened to me a long time ago when I was doing my bachelor's degree in computer engineering. The math prof in the first week, he spent over 40 minutes in one lecture describing a theory, and then he told us that this is the wrong theory and you should not use it. And when he mentioned that, I raised my hand because I thought I was smart, and I asked the prof saying, why did we spend 45 minutes learning something that it is wrong and we will never use it? And the reply was that you need to learn what not to use because it is as important as learning what to use. And that's why I'm doing this video, because I want to show you what not to use as much as I want to show you what to use. First of all, if this is your first time on the channel, then I should let you know that I don't use the default parameters for these indicators. So for example, the RSI, I use the RSI2, which is a strategy that was popularized by Larry Connors. So this is the RSI2, and basically when we are below 25, we want to buy. When we are above 75, we want to short. And you can see that we have many signals when we switch to RSI2, because RSI2 is high speed indicator, while the Bollinger Bands with 20 and 2, you can see it's low. And we need to match this Bollinger Bands with the RSI2. So very simply, to match this speed, we can change the Bollinger Bands to 10 and 1. So 10 is the moving average and 1 is the standard deviation. And now you can see that we match the RSI2, not completely, but we definitely have the same amount of signals close. So you can see this is a signal, this is not, this is a signal, this is not, but otherwise we match it closely. And just to show you how this looks here, so we can do this here. So this is 10 and this is 1. And you can see now we have more signals because the close now goes below the lower channel and the upper channel a lot more than the 20 and 2. So this is very important, because if you leave the Bollinger Bands at 20 and 2, you don't get the required result to compare it with the RSI2. That's why I wanted to show you visually how they look like. And now we will test it with numbers and we'll see what we can achieve. In order to see if the RSI and Bollinger Bands work together, we need to test each one separately. So we will test the RSI2 signal with the Bollinger Bands as filter. And then we will test the Bollinger Bands as the signal and the RSI2 as the filter. And the reason is to see if the filter will add any value to the strategy. So this is MultiCharts, and I have the S&P 500, the futures daily chart here, and the Bollinger Band is on top, and this is the RSI2, and then here I have the %B. Also, I have the width of the channel because we will use that as a filter. Now, first of all, let me show you the difference in the Bollinger Band look back and the standard deviation. You can see we are optimizing the look back. This is the Bollinger Band's look back, which is basically the moving average. And the sweet spot is between 10 and 24. So 10 to 24 is step 2. And then the standard deviation between 0.75 and 2.25 in step of 0.25. So all in all, we have 56 combinations. And this is our strategy. So out of 56 combinations, it sits at number 45 if we sort by net profit. So we have 44 strategies that perform better if we change the look back and standard deviation. So that shows the robustness of this strategy. This is going long only when the close below the lower band. Of course, long only because this is the S&P 500, which is a stock index which usually drifts up all the time. And if we look at the top, this is 10, 10, 14, 12, 16, 12, 10, 12, 14, and 16. So the top 10, they're all between 10 and 14, with one strategy sitting at 16. And all the standard deviations are between 0.75 and 1.25. So you see the sweet spot sit here, and this is the 10 and 1 that I told you about. It sits here at number 2. Usually this will perform the best on all markets. Now I fixed the exit for all the tests that we are doing in this video at 3 bars. This is so we can easily compare different strategies, different filters, without affecting the exit with a stop loss or with an indicator. This is the performance of the Bollinger Band strategy on the S&P 500, long only, using 10 look back and 1 standard deviation. We are making 130,000 with 41,000 drawdown. So basically we are making 3 to 1, and our number of trades is 360 and average trade is 363. So now we will test with the RSI filter. Basically, we will test when the RSI below or above a level, and we will see if we can enhance this strategy. So now we will test the RSI filter. And the filter is if the RSI2 below a level or if it is above a level. So the filter will be between 1 and 2, 1 when the RSI2 below a level and 2 when the RSI2 above a level. And then the level will be between 5 and 95 in a step of 5. So that means if the RSI2 below 5, below 10, below 15, so on and so forth. And also mean if the RSI2 below 95, below 80, below 75, and so on and so forth. So all in all, 38 combinations. And here are the results. So just to compare, this is the original strategy when the %B below 0, that means when the close below the lower band, moving average is 10, the standard deviation is 1. We are exiting after 3 bars. These are the stats we got. So let's see if we can enhance our strategy by using the RSI filter. So if I sort by net profit, first of all, we notice that there are only 3 strategies that beat our original strategy. But we notice that it is not significant. So we reduce our drawdown a little bit and our trades by 29 trades. So we barely touch our drawdown. The top 2 strategies, I don't consider them any enhancement because look at this. This is 360 trades and these are 358, 356. That means we took 2 trades off, 4 trades off. And to me, this is overfitting. That means that, we took basically whatever was the worst trade and we made our strategy a little better. So all in all, this filter did not perform at all. The RSI2 below a level or the RSI2 above a level. Great. That means when we use the Bollinger Bands to enter into a trade, the RSI filter doesn't add anything. And if it's adding anything, it is usually overfitting, just like we saw. It's basically taking 2 trades off to enhance our net profit or our drawdown. Now we will test the RSI as an entry signal with the Bollinger Band as a filter. Now with the Bollinger Bands, we will have more than one filter because we will use if the close is below a level or above a level, that is the %B. We will also use the width of the Bollinger Bands if it's expanding or contracting as a filter for the entry. First, this is the basic RSI2 strategy. So when the RSI2 below 25, we go long and we exit after 3 days. There are no filters, nothing. So this is the basic strategy, so we can compare it to the Bollinger Bands. Now the strategy is making about 159,000. The drawdown is about $40,000. Return to drawdown ratio is 4. And if we look at the trades, 466 trades, 61% win rate, and $341 on average per trade. So first test, we will do filter 3 and 4, which is measuring when the close below the lower band all the way to the middle of the band, or when the close above the upper band all the way to the middle band. And we will do it in step of 0.1. So 0 is the lower band, 1 is the upper band. So you can see we are going from below all the way to above in step of 0.1. All in all, we have 38 filters. Here are the results of the optimization. And as you can see on the left, this is the original strategy, 158,988. And here at the top, these filters are doing nothing. So when the %B lower than 1, that means any close below the upper band. So basically that's doing nothing. And as you can see, it's doing nothing because the original strategy is 466 trades. All these are 46.6. Then we start to filter some. So 6.5, 4.28. So let's say this is the first one. And what I mean by this is the first filter that takes off a considerable number of trades, and we can see the results that we have higher drawdown and less net profit. And this goes the same for all. As you can see, we keep making lower net profit and either higher drawdown or the same. But basically, we are not enhancing our return to drawdown. Remember, the best return to drawdown is 4, and these are the top 4 without removing any trade. Okay, so we know that this filter doesn't work, meaning measuring where the close in the Bollinger Bands as a filter for our RSI entry does not add anything. So now we will measure the width of the Bollinger Bands. Okay, so now we are optimizing only the filters 5 to 8, so that gives us 4 filters only. And let's optimize and see the results. So remember, the filters where the Bollinger Band width greater than 0, that means it's greater than the average Bollinger Band width. And filter number 6 is smaller than the average Bollinger Band width. And then filter number 7 is when the Bollinger Band width expanding for 2 bars. And filter number 8 is when it's contracting for 2 bars. And these are the filter numbers. And no filter enhances our strategy. So our strategy is making 158, and here the best one is making 91,000. Our drawdown is 39, and this is the best drawdown, 23. But for 23 drawdown, we are taking off half the profits. And that's why the return to drawdown here is 4, and none of these come even close, except this one, 3.37. But look at these, 194, 12, 11. So even though our filter reduces our trades a lot, enhances our average trade on some of them, but no filter makes a better strategy when it comes to return to drawdown ratio. So like I expected from the beginning, because Bollinger Band and RSI, they are usually trying to do the same thing when we are using them as a mean reversion signal to enter into a trade. But as algo traders, we cannot just depend on the theory. We need to test to find out what is true and what is not. So if you come across any blog or a YouTube video combining the RSI with Bollinger Bands to get a better result, usually that is overfit, and because these two indicators add nothing. There is no value of adding one indicator to the other to come up with a better strategy. To learn more about using Bollinger Bands in developing a good strategy, watch this video and I will see you there.